Welcome back to the class Managing Organizations and Entrepreneurships. Today we will discuss on the topic of risk management. In terms of the topics of risk management, we will discuss on the two main areas that are first, the risk and uncertainty and risk management, and two, risk management. Before getting into the discussions on the risk measurements, I would like you to know the learning objective of these topics. You need to make sure that you meet all the learning objectives after you completed these topics. Firstly, I expect that you know the concept of the expected rate of return. Secondly, I expect you have an idea how you can measure risks. As a result of the learning objective, we will discuss the two main topics here that are the expected rate of return and the risk measurement. What is the expected rate of return here? The expected rate of return here refers to the return that the business owner or the entrepreneur expect to receive based on their businesses or their investment. I just want to share with you the idea of how to calculate the expected rate of return. But I do not expect you can calculate the expected rate of return on your exam. Therefore, please do not worry or panic about these calculations. How to calculate the expected return of your business? From this slide, the slide number 5, right? Okay, you should think about the probability of the economic conditions that might be occur, such as strong economic conditions, normal economic conditions, or weak economic conditions, and the expected of the return of each economic conditions. For example, during a strong economic conditions, your business will generate much more profit, right? We multiply, right? You multiply the probability that may happen, the economic conditions with the expected return of each economic conditions. We then sum up the expected return of each economic condition. We then get the expected rate of return. At this point, you get the idea of how you can calculate the expected rate of return of your business. However, I would love to give you the example of the expected rate of return calculations. As the example on this slide, the slide number 6, you are considering invest your $10,000 in the new business startup. You expect to invest probably might be in a rental car business or a boutique hotel in Chiang Mai, for example. May I ask, what is the expected rate of return of rental car business and boutique hotel business? The answer will provide you the information for decisions making which business you should invest. On this page, on this slide, you can notice from the table that the probability happen a strong economic condition is 0.2 or 30%. The probability to happen the normal economic conditions is 0.5 or 50%. The probability of the to happen a weak economic conditions is 0.2 or 20%. When you sum up the probability of the strong economic condition, normal economic conditions, and weak economic condition need to be equal 1 or equal 100%. During the strong economic conditions, the rental car business will bring you 8% or $800. During the normal economic condition here, the rental car business will bring you 6% or $500. And again, during the weak economic conditions, the rental car business will bring you negative loss 2%, or you get lost about $200. Then you multiply the 0.3, right? The 0.3 of the probability to happens by 8%. That is the return of the rental car for the expected rate of return of the rental car business during the strong economic condition. You repeat the same process for the expected return of the rental car for business during the normal and weak economic conditions. You then sum up 2.4, 3%, and minus 0.4%. You then get the expected return of the rental car at the bottom of the table, that is the 5%. In the case of the boutique hotel, you repeat the same process. You then get the expected rate of return of the boutique hotel at 9.5%. At this stage, you will have the idea how to calculate the expected rate of return of the business that you expect to invest in. On the slide number 8, on this slide, I show you how you can calculate the expected rate of return for both the rental car business and boutique hotel business. If I ask you which business you should invest based on expected rate of return, the answer should be boutique hotel, because based on the expected rate of return, the boutique hotel can make profit 9.5%, which greater than 5% of rental car business. At this point, we have completed the part of the expected rate of return of investment. We then move to the next part, that is the risk measurement. What is risk measurement? Please notice the definition of risk measurement on the slide number 10. The risk measurement is the process of identify, access, and quantify the potential losses that may impact or may affect your business. How to measure the risks. The common way to measure risks by two methods, such as risk metrics, that are qualitative methods, and quantitative methods, such as standard deviation and coefficients of variations. Here you are. Shall we start from the qualitative method in order to measure the risks? In terms of the qualitative method, I show you the example of risk matrix of new business startup in cafe business example as the example. How you can understand the risk matrix on slide number 12. We start from risk type from your left-hand side. There are two types of risks, that are external risks and internal risks, right? We then identify risk item to the column of the specific risks. For example, economics risks, competitive risks, and reputation risks are included in the external risk factors. As well, please notice that the financial risks, operational risks, and fraud risks are included in the internal risk factor. When we access the quantify the level of probability and level impact of each risk item. The level is mean that low, medium, or high. For example, the probability of the economic risks. The slow economy reduce spending of target customer. There is high probability to happen, right? As well, the probability of the financial risks. If the entrepreneur have not enough money, there is high probability to happen, right? You then consider the level of impact to each risk to your business. There is high impact to economic risks to your business, as well as there is high impact of financial risks to your business. Therefore, as the overall risk on your right hand side, the overall risk, as the overall risks, economic risks, and financial risks are critical risk factor to this business. At this stage, we already complete the risk measurement qualitative method. We will move to the quantitative method. In terms of the quantitative method, we normally apply the concept of the standard deviation and coefficients of variations. Standard deviation, we probably call standard deviation in short as the SD. What is the standard deviation? The standard deviation is the statistical tools that used to measure the dispersion of the data from the expected value of or expected return. A lower standard deviation here, a lower value of standard deviations mean the tentative value is closer to the expected return compared with the high standard deviations. If there are two businesses that the entrepreneur need to select just only one business, the standard deviation of business A is 7. The standard deviation of business B is 12. For example, from this number, you can notice that business A contains lower standard deviation than B, right? If I ask you to choose which business you should select to invest, you should select the business with a lower standard deviation at the 7 because the probability of the tentative return is closer to the expected return compared to the higher standard deviation at 12. Then you should consider invest in business A. For your more understandings, I provide you here the slide number 16. This picture shows you the lower standard deviation and higher standard deviations. Please pay attention at the horizontal line. The lower standard deviation is the narrower one in the range of 2 to 12%. The higher standard deviation is the broader one in the range of the minus 5% to 28%. Please notice that when you apply the standard deviation to measure risks of two businesses, The expected return of two businesses need to be equal. In this case, the expected return of business A is the expected return of business A, right, is 5%. That's same as the expected return of business B, that is 7%. In the concept of the standard deviation, the maximum return that you can get from business A is 12%, right? I then move to the standard deviation of business B. The maximum return of the business B is 28%, but business B can bring you negative loss at minus 5%. If you are the entrepreneur who are considered to invest just in only one business, which business you should invest based on standard deviation? The answer should be business A, because business A has less standard deviation with the same expected return 5% of business B. At this step, you get the concept of the standard deviation. You should select the business that bring you a lower standard deviation, right? On this slide, I show you an example of the standard deviation. In this case, I suppose the expected return of the rental car business and the restaurant business is the same at 5% and 5% respectively. Can you notice that? Can you notice what I said in terms of the expected rate of return of two business? 5% and 5%, right? Suppose the standard deviation of the rental car saying 3, while the standard deviation of the restaurant business saying 7. May I ask you which business you should select based on the standard deviations? Here you are. You should select to invest in the business that bring you a lower standard deviation. You then should select to invest in the rental car business. At this step, we complete the concept of the standard deviation. Shall we move to the next part, that is the CV, coefficients of the variations. The another risk measurement tool is the coefficients of variations, or CV. We probably use CV instead of the coefficients of the variations. What is the CV? What is the coefficients of the variations? The CV is a kind of statistical tool to measure the degree of variations from one data series to another data series. You need to focus on what I am saying here. I say that we use the CV, or the coefficients of variations, to measure the degree of the variation even if the expected rate of return of those businesses are different, are not the same, right? If the expected rate of return of two businesses is not the same, you need to use CV, the coefficients of the variation, in order to measure the risks. Because, in the real world, there are hardly the two businesses can provide the same return. If the two businesses bring you different return, you need to use the coefficients of variations to measure the risks of those businesses. The concept of how to select the business that bring you less risks by using the coefficients of variations, or CV. You can notice from this slide that the higher the CV, The greater the level of dispersion allow the expected return. Then the lower the value of the coefficients of variation or CV, it means that more precise the estimate. As a result, we should select the business that bring you less coefficients of variation or CV. On this slide, I show you the example of the coefficients of variations. Suppose the expected return of two business. You can notice here that the expected return of two business rental car, the expected return of rental car is 5. And the expected return of the boutique hotel is 9.5. In case of the expected rate of return without coefficients of variations, exactly, you should select to invest in the boutique hotel because the boutique hotel bring you 9.5%, that greater than the rental car which bring you just only 5. Based on expected return, you should select to invest in the boutique hotel because the expected rate of return of the boutique hotel is greater than rental car. However, on the slide number 23, you are the entrepreneur who is concerned the risk measurement. You use the CV, the coefficients of the variation, to measure leaks. The CV of the rental car is 0.6, while the CV of the boutique hotel is 0.95. You then realize that the boutique hotel business contain more leaks than the rental car business. You then select to invest in the rental car instead. At this stage, we already complete the leaks measurement part. I expect you get back to the learning objective of these topics and ensure and make sure that you meet all learning objectives. After this slide, I also provide you the glossary of this topic for your more understanding. For example, the definition of the expected return, qualitative method, quantitative method, leaks matrix, leaks measurement, standard deviation, and coefficients of the variations.